Good morning and welcome to Sheldopedia. I'm Sheldon Betteridge here today. I'm gonna tell you the cabinets of our next parliament. They'll be coming out shortly after I played a song called Hawaii by Mama Fizz, the weekend remix on Sheldopedia on Arrow FM.
So now he's your heaven. You're lying to yourself and him to make me jealous. You put on such an act when you're sleeping together. All this cause I said I don't want marriage. I don't want marriage. I'd rather go half on a baby, cause at least I know that it's not temporary. And at least we'll share something that's real. I can tell that you're just trying to feel. Puede que no te haga falta nada, aparentemente nada. Highway de vacaciones, mi felicitaciones. Muy lindo en Instagram lo que posteas, pa' que yo vea cómo te va, pa' que yo vea.
Puede que no te haga falta nada, aparentemente nada. Hawaii de vacaciones, mis felicitaciones. Muy lindo en Instagram lo que posteas, pa' que yo vea cómo te va de bien, pero te haces mal, porque el amor no se compra con nada. Miéntele a todos tus seguidores, dile que los tiempos de ahora son mejores. No creo que cuando te llame me ignores, si después de mí ya no habrán más amores. Tú y yo fuimos uno, no se muera y uno antes del desayuno. Fumábamos el agua que te pasaba el humo, y ahora en esta guerra no gana ninguno. Si me preguntas, nadie te me culpa, a veces los problemas a uno se le juntan. Déjame hablar, porfa, no me interrumpas. Si te hice algo malo, entonces discúlpame. La gente te lo va a creer, actúas bien ese papel, baby, pero no eres feliz con él.
Puede que no te haga falta nada, aparentemente nada. Highway de vacaciones, mi felicitaciones. Muy lindo en Instagram lo que posteas, pa' que yo vea cómo te va, pa' que yo vea.
Puede que no te haga falta nada, aparentemente nada. Hawaii de vacaciones, mis felicitaciones. Muy lindo en Instagram lo que posteas, pa' que yo vea cómo te va de bien, pero te haces mal, porque el amor no se compra con nada.
This is the remix. The weekend. Papi Juancho. Maluma, baby.
There was Hawaii remix featuring Momo Weekend on Sheldopedia on Arrow FM. Right, we will go. We were gonna tell you the 53rd New Zealand Parliament and what seats do I have as ministers. She's in the in people mayor, but she's a prime minister, leader of Labour Party, minister for national security, intelligence, minister for child poverty reduction, minister responsible for ministerial services, associate minister of arts, culture, heritage, chair of the intelligence and security specialist committee. Grant Barber, Senator, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Vice Minister of Infrastructure, Minister of Rising, Minister of Sport and Recreation. He's a Wellington Central MP. Kawagata, who sits in a T-tie, took Carell's seat. He's a deputy leader of the Labour Party, Minister for Marocco Relations, T. Fitty, Minister for Children, Minister of Corrections, Associate Minister of Education, Murray Education. Man, for me, it was in people work when she has Minister of Housing, Minister of Energy Resources, Minister of Education, Science and Innovation, Associate Minister of Finance, portfolios, number 5. Crossovers in paper, Remy Tucker, she is a reader of a House, Minister for COVID-19 response, Minister of Education, Minister of Public Service, portfolios, Minister Carmel Super Looney, and she's in Kelston MP, Minister of Social Development, Minister for ACC, Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage, Minister for Disability Issues. Portfolio. Entry MP, our listing page. He's a Minister of Health, Minister responsible for GCSP, Minister responsible for NCSIS, Minister of Church of Treaty of Waitangi Negligence, Minister responsible for Pike River Re-entry. Portfolio State Fago, another listing MP. He's our Attorney General, Minister of Firemen, Minister of Oceans and Fisheries, Minister of Revenue, Associate Minister of Finance. Mama Nana Mahuta Imbi for Hierarchy Waikato. She's our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Local Government, and Associate Minister of Maori Development. Mama T. Porter Williams in People Christchurch. She's the Minister of Building and Construction, Minister of Police, Associate Minister of Children, Associate Minister of Housing, Public Housing. Portfolios. Mama Derek Connor, MP for West Coast and Tasman, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Biosecurity, Minister of Land Information, Minister of War Communities, Minister for Trade and Export Growth. Alright. Mama 12 Session National EP for Napier, Minister for Economic and Regional Development, Minister of Forestry, Minister of for Small Businesses, and Minister of Tourism portfolios. Crossfire for just money, turn money MP to a list MP now currently reside Greytown. He's a Minister of Justice, Minister of Broadcasting, Communications and Digital Media, and he's our Minister of Immigration. Manford Pini Hinari MP for Tamaki Makodro. He's our Minister of Defence, Minister of Whana Ora, Associate Minister of Health, Murray Health, Associate Minister of Housing, Murray Housing, and Associate Minister of Tourism. Willie Jackson, another listing be Minister for Murray Development, Associate Minister for ACC, and Associate Minister of Justice. Master DJ Taniti. JSL, Minister of Internal Affairs, Minister of Women, and Associate Minister of Education. Mama 17, Mike Ward, MP for Mount Roscoe. He's our Minister of Transport, Minister of Workplace, Relations and Safety, and Deputy Leader of the House. Aiden Carriella, Minister of Conservation, Minister for Emergency Management, Associate Minister of Arts, Culture and Heritage, Associate Minister for the Environment. 19 David Clark, our newly New legend Dunedin, he is a minister of communities and consumer affairs, minister for digital economy and communications, minister of state-owned enterprises, minister of statistics, and minister responsible for the Earthquake Commission. And finally, among tweeted Asia Bell, he's a minister of food safety, minister for seniors, associate minister of health, and associate minister of research and innovation. Ministers outside cabinet are William Sarah, our MP for Margaret, Minister for Courts, Minister of Pacific Peoples, Associate Minister of Foreign Affairs, Associate Minister of Education, Pacific Peoples, Associate Minister of Justice, and Associate Minister of Health, Pacific Peoples. Number 22 is Mika Farity, our MP for Equality, Chief Minister of Customs, Minister of Fisheries, Associate Minister of Agriculture, Animal Welfare, and Associate Minister of Statistics. Number 34, Twivat was previously in the top 10. Kim now dropped back to 23rd. EP for Theatre, he is our Minister of Disarmament and Uncontrolled, Minister of State for Trade and Export Growth, Associate Minister of Environment, and Associate Minister of Immigration. And number 24 are Priyanka Redishkinan, our new MP for Magakiki, who's been taken off Denise leave by specified, which means she's out of Parliament. And he's a Minister of Community and Voluntary Sector, Minister of Diversity, Inclusion and Ethnic Communities, Minister for Youth, and Associate Minister of Social Development and Employment. Parliamentary Undersecretaries Reno Terakatini MP for Titai Tonga, Parliamentary Undersecretary to the Minister of Oceans and Fisheries, Minister for Trade, Export, Growth and Maritime Trade. And Deborah MP for Newland, Parliamentary Undersecretary to the Minister of Revenue. Officers of Parliament are Trevor Mallard, who is going to be our Speaker of our House Presumptive, Adrian Rahi, our MP for Tito Tukorau, Tito Haru, our Deputy Speaker of the House, Momami, and also nominated for Assistant Speaker of Vice Chair Lisa, MP for Newly Pemu and Otahu. MPs are Funchi Waters for Upper Harbour, Kira Makanauti for Wairarapa, Chief Government, he's our Chief Government Whip, Loser Will Camilla Bellich, Marshall Lubeck, Angie Warren Clark, all listing pays. Welsh Prime Minister Whip, he's a new MP for Northern, defeating Matt King by special votes. Tamiko Cover, who lost the Wairarapa legislature with the Māori Party's Wari Waititi, as upon Māori Party re-entering Parliament. Nazi Chin. John Luxon, our new MP for Rangitata by turning a legion to a safe national stronghold to read for the first time, seeking off challenges by Megan's national song candidate down in the south are Megan Hands. Joe MP for Heritage, who unseated David Bennett from National, have been held position since 2005. Liz Craig, our another list MP, who's unsuccessfully turned a legion read by Penny Simmons of the National Party. Abraham Omi, a list MP, and also first African MP Doug Webb, MP for Crozier City, he's our junior whip. Ane hala kana kara so key. Our list MP. Juniors is an MP for herself, captured off National Quest Special who held for literate for the first time under National. Rachel Booker, another list MP, Paul Eagle, our MP for Rongatai, Helen White, a list MP, been lost out to a surprise victory by close all book from Greens, but Greens Party had won an electoral seat for only for the second time. More to tell you soon. Bob Rivers, a new MP for Mana, he also associate whip. Andrew Roberts, a list MP. Shannon Halbert, MP for Northcote. Defeated Dan Bitweiser, which is now out of government. Near Riverside, MP for Takaniki. Tracy McLennan, MP for Banks Peninsula. Steve Lewis, MP for Whakanui. Rachel Boyack, MP for Nelson. Arena Wells, MP for Manawara. And Galera, MP for Tyree. Sarah Proud, MP for LM, who so ceaselessly beaten off National Steward of Jerry Brownlee, which has been held at the seat since 1996. Gorf Sharma, MP for Hamilton West. Emily Henderson, MP for Whangarei, just as ceaselessly wrangled Shane Reedy of the National Party to a list MP, apparently announced the deputy leader of the National Party this week. Theresa Nagabe, our MP for Otaki. Glenn Bennett, the new MP for New Plymouth. Indian national dominance, which held for years. Greg O'Connor, our MP for Ohio. Taka Utagiri, our new MP for Palmerston North, replacing Emily Scalway, and Analog, our new MP for Tukituki, defeating National Social, which is also now out of Parliament. Green Party Ministers outside Cabinet Marma Davison, female co-leader of Green Party Minister of Provision, Family and Sexual Violence, Associate Minister of Housing and Homelessness, Mamadou James Shaw, male co-leader of the Green Party Minister for Climate Change, Associate Minister of Environment, Biodiversity are both list MPs. Manfred Close Brook Auckland Central, because Auckland Central is the only second MP to capture an electorate seat for the Greens. First to do so is Janice Fitzsimons, who won the Coromandel seat in 1989, only to have a third place defeat in 2002 just behind Labour and National Party Sandra Goody. It has been a surprise victory, our youngest ever MP to take. For Auckland Central, I would like Helen White to take the seat, but never mind. For GA and Gender, Jen Logic, Eugenie Sage, Gores Garman, Diana Tunio, Elizabeth Kerry, and Lekada Medias are all list MPs. White under opposition. Trikaza MP for Public leader of the National Party, leader of the Opposition Association for National Security and Intelligence, spokesperson for Pacific Peoples, spokesperson for Technology Manufacturing and Artificial Intelligence. Mamadou Shane Reid to deal with the leader of the National Party, spokesperson for Health and spokesperson for Children, now list MP. Lost out by Emily Henderson on a special votes monthly. Andrew Bailey, our MP for newly Port Waikato, Shadow Treasurer Revenue, spokesperson for Infrastructure, spokesperson for Statistics, Michael Woodhouse, our list MP, spokesperson for Finance, spokesperson for Transport, Deputy Shadow Leader of the House. Month Tom McLeod for MP for Rotorua, spokesperson for Economic Development, spokesperson for Small Business, spokesperson for Commerce Consumer Affairs, spokesperson for Tourism Associate, spokesperson for Pacific Peoples. Marcus Louis Upston, MP for Taupo, spokesperson for Social Development and Employment, spokesperson for Social Investment, spokesperson for Whana Ora, spokesperson for Land Information. Member CVSO British MP for Tauranga, spokesperson for justice, spokesperson for water, spokesperson for American Crown relations, spokesperson for private river re-entry. Members expressed Bishop, spokesperson for COVID-19 response, shadow leader of a house. And he's a list MP losing herself to Labour's Ginny Anderson. My name list MP. My name Leslie, a list MP spokesperson for broadcasting media, spokesperson for digital economy and communications, spokesperson for ethnic communities. Member 2 Scott Simpson, our MP for Coromandel, spokesperson for environment, spokesperson for workplace relations, spokesperson for RMA environment. Member Levin David Bennett, our list MP. Spokesperson for agriculture, spokesperson for horticulture, spokesperson for biosecurity. Spokesperson of education are now Paul Golsons have been dropped from number 3 to 12. Our list MP, Mama Shaw, MP for newly Funga Pora, he's our spokesperson for public service, spokesperson for state-owned enterprises, and spokesperson for sport and recreation. Barbara Krieger, MP for Taranaki King County, spokesperson for energy and resources, spokesperson for rural communities, spokesperson for food safety, and associate spokesperson for transport. Number 15 dropped from over to our GFA, our list MP, who recently lost his highlights. He is now a spokesperson for foreign affairs, spokesperson for GCSB, spokesperson for NC. SIS and a spokesperson for finance. Number 16 Nicola Wells, a spokesperson for RMA housing, spokesperson for housing and urban development, including social associate minister, associate for economic development. Number 7 Joseph Fell, EP for Kaikoura, a spokesperson for climate change, spokesperson for viticulture. Mara Chekiti, EP for Waitaki, as spokesperson for conversation money for assistant speaker. Mama 19 Tom Muller, MP for Bioplay, as spokesperson for trade and export growth, spokesperson for internal affairs. Samuel Brown, Wheeler MP for Pekaranga, as spokesperson for police, spokesperson for corrections, spokesperson for sales fraud officers, spokesperson for youth. Matthew Ducia, Waimakriki MP, our senior whip, spokesperson for mental health, associate spokesperson for social development and employment, and associate minister for health. Number 22 Maureen Pugh, as our junior whip, spokesperson for community and voluntary sector, spokesperson for emergency management. Number 12 Nick Smith, who recently surprisingly lost the Labour seat to Labour Party's Rachel Boyack. Now a spokesperson for researchers, I spokesperson of electoral reform, and also he's our father of a house. Big, of course, Wairarapa list mixes are both list MPs. Number 24 Chris Pingo, MP for Kaipara Ki Mahurangi, is now a Shadow Tri General Association for Defence, spokesperson for courts and spokesperson for veterans. Sarah Cora retained as Tamaki seat for a fourth term. Spokesperson for Customs, spokesperson for Arts, Culture and Heritage, and the Association for Foreign Affairs. Erica Stefano, MP for East Coast Race, spokesperson for Immigration, spokesperson for Early Childhood Education. Mama 27 Emma Calvi, our MP for Rangituki. He almost lost it to Labour Sarah Pick Mason. Now spokesperson for senior, spokesperson for forestry, spokesperson for racing, and spokesperson for disability issues. Toyota Tim Vandy Mullen, Waikato MP, now a spokesperson for oceans and fisheries, spokesperson for animal welfare, and spokesperson for building and construction. Only 5 new Netherlands MPs are entering the gang. Nicola Greg MP for Salmon as spokesperson for women, associate spokesperson for trade and associate spokesperson for arts, culture and heritage. Christopher Lux, our former Union CEO, he is a now new MP for botany and now spokesperson for local government, spokesperson for area development and associate spokesperson for transport. Joseph Mooney, our new accredited Southland MP as spokesperson for Treaty of Waitangi and negotiations. Associate spokesperson for defence and associate spokesperson for tourism. Penny Simmons, our Invercargill MP, who's a former South Institute of Technology CEO. Who sought out an accreditation from Labour's Liz Craig. She's a spokesperson for tertiary education, associate spokesperson for agriculture and associate spokesperson for disability issues. And lastly, Simon Watts, a newly national MP, spokesperson for ACC and associate spokesperson for health. ACT New Zealand, David Seymour, who retired at for Epson. He's a leader of ACT Party New Zealand. Number 2 book Vandy Felder is a deputy leader of ACT New Zealand and party whip. And she's a list MP. Nicole McKee, Chris Bailey, Simon Colchester, Berthold, Karen Short, Mark Carey, Tony Severin, and Damian Smith are all list MPs. And 2 from the Māori Party deputy, Nungarika Peka, a female co-leader of the Māori Party, and Rari Wairarapa, who won the Wairarapa seat of Tamati Coffee. He's a leader of men. He's a male co-leader of the Māori Party. Let's get on to our next song, which is It is Trademark by James Arthur. Sorry, it just won't play. It has to be Last in Lover. And play that either. Fuck. Which mean Paradise Way, Medusa Democracy on Sheldopedia on Airy FM.
Hearts collide, shadows dance in the distance. Something just ain't right, I'm cold inside. Help me find what I'm missing. We're all scared to fly, still we try. Learn to be brave, see the other side. Won't you lead me there? Have no fear. Close your eyes, find paradise. There's 1,000 miles between you and I. Oh my, my, my. Just 1,000 miles between me and paradise. Oh my, my, my. There's 1,000 miles between you and I. Oh my, my, my. Just 1,000 miles between me and paradise. When the dark has gone, the morning's won. We're gonna feel something different. It will set you free if you just tell me every secret I listen. We're all scared to fly. paradise, paradise, paradise. Close your eyes, find paradise, paradise, paradise. Close your eyes, find para. Oh my, my, my. There's 1,000 miles between you and I. Oh my, my, my. Just 1,000 miles between me and paradise. Oh my, my, my. Oh my, my, my. Oh my, my, 1,000 miles between me and paradise.
There was Paradise by Medusa and Demo Kennedy on Sheldopedia on Arrow FM. Hours after polls closed in the US election as votes being counted, Donald Trump claimed fraud without grown evidence. He said we will be going to the Supreme Court. To date, our own election hinged on a US Supreme Court decision was in 2000 when Al Gore was defeated by George W. Bush. So it's tempting to make comparisons between the two legends, but they can be misleading. Our 2000 election came down to one state, Florida, where both candidates separated by only by a few hundred votes. By contrast, Donald Trump has filed lawsuits in several states, and the margins with his rival Joe Biden are far greater. What happened in 2000? One of the closest and most controversial votes in US history. Democratic Vice President Al Gore was pitted against Republican Governor of Texas, son of former US President George W. Bush. Opinion poll says that Tuesday that the race would be close at a night will, and it became clear the result rested in Florida in the 25 votes, now 29 in the Electoral College. The system the US uses to elect its president. As ballots were counted, US Negroes initially called the state for Al Gore. However, later retracted saying the result was too close to predict, and then House of the Negroes one by one declared that George W. Bush had won Florida. However, senators emerged that the vote was such on a knife edge that was too close to call. The Trump magazine one of the night was hidden when Mr. Gore ran Mr. Bush to concede and ran him back to react his concession. Because of a close margin on election night, Mr. Bush led by 7,084 votes, and the automatic lead count was called under Florida will begin the next day. It reduced the margin to 327 votes. But Gore campaigned and then requested many recounts in the official counting, which went ahead amid much legal wrangling. With nationalized stood on Florida, News Negroes carried footage of scrutineers examining his hanging clads. The small piece of a paper graded when the hole was punched in the ballot on the voting machines of the time. When some voters have punched their ballots, such as not fully separated from a ballot, making their preference unclear. In other cases, indentation has been made in the ballot, but it's not been punched through, which is known as a pregnant or dimpled chat. The convention of a chat was discussed at length by the highest lawyers in the land and around every kitchen table. Some Republican supporters in Florida staged fire protests in Miami, calling for President recount to be stopped. All three protesters claimed to be local. Most were later identified as Republican aides from Congress in Washington. A protest became known as a Brooks Brothers Right. Noticed bars, nurse and ties were worn by those involved. The turmoil ended when U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Bush favor, saying the recount would cast a needless and unjustified cloud over his legitimate election. The final margin was 637 votes out of a total almost 6 million cast in the state. Mr. Gore considered saying that we disagreed about the court's decision. He accepted that I accept the final of this outcome, which will be ratified next Monday in the Electoral College, and tonight, our sake of our unity as a people and the strength of our democracy, I offer my concession, he said. Although he lost the election, Mr. Gore took 48.38% of the nationwide total vote to Mr. Bush 47.87%. What is different now in the 2000 recount, there are bailouts with any chance to argue over today. There are only alleged allegations of fraud for which there is no evidence. President Joe Biden has filed lawsuits at least 5 states substance, and I decline that there has been major fraud of the nation. He has been long cast out the mail involving retracing of photo vote or rigged elections since April without providing concrete proof. Electoral experts say photo fraud is rare and only affects tiny number of votes. Mr. Trump can trails Mr. Biden by thousands or tens of thousands of votes in the contested states. In Georgia, Mr. Trump was behind by about 40,000 votes. It's small enough to warrant an automatic recount as per state laws, but I consider highly unlikely that result will flip. There have been several reversals within recounts. A Minnesota Senate race in 2008, a election of a Washington governor, and a female auditor's race in 2006. In each case, the initial margin was fewer than 500 votes. Mr. Trump would have to flip more than Georgia to reach the 270 electoral college votes needed to secure the presidency. Lawyers for both sides of the 2000 presidential election have come out to say this year's situation has no parallel. Basically, the election is over. There isn't anything has come out that could possibly affect the outcome. David Boyce, who led Gore's legal team in 2000, told USA Today newspaper there are no legal evidence for the Trump campaign to plausibly dispute the response in any one state. James Barker, a former Secretary of State who led Mr. Bush's team, also objected to Mr. Trump's initial calls to stop the vote when a president achieved that counter postal votes that arrived after Election Day was illegal. In Pennsylvania, a state court had extended the time for receiving absentee ballots by 3 days owing to the coronavirus pandemic, as long as the ballots were postmarked by Election Day. Mr. Baker said a whole argument in 2000 that was our votes had been counted and they've been counted and it's time to end the process. Some Senate Republicans, including Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, have, however, defeated the president's rights to pursue legal options. The Supreme Court decided the result. Mr. Trump has been repeatedly failed to take his cases to the U.S. Supreme Court. It is not simple as that. Unusual legal teams will be forced to have charges for results in state-level courts or for U.S. Attorney General William Barr has also approved preliminary inquiries by federal prosecutors. State judges would have been to uphold the charge and order a recount. The Supreme Court could have been asked to be weighed in. However, there must be a legitimate federal or constitutional question at the heart of a complaint. The Attorney General wrote earlier this week that inquiries could be made by federal court prosecutors if there are clear and apparently credible allegations of irregularities. There is as yet no clarity on the claims being made. This is what I have to say.
Those states have yet certified their election results. We have at least 1 or 2 states that are already on track for a recount. And I believe the president may have legal challenges underway in at least 5 states. The core principle here is not complicated. In the United States of America, all legal ballots must be counted. Any illegal ballots must not be counted. The process should be transparent or observable by all sides, and the courts are here to work through concerns. Our institutions are actually built for this. We have the system in place to consider concerns, and President Trump is 100% within his rights to look into allegations of irregularities and weigh his legal options.
Next song I will be playing for is but it is done song for really sometime in the 2000s, which is Let's go by Duty Vegas.
Still a whisper on my lips, a feeling at my fingertips, it's pulling at my skin. You leave me when I'm at my worst, a feeling as if I've been cursed, bitter cold within. Days go by and still I think of you. Days when I couldn't live my life without you. Days go by and still I think of you. Days when I couldn't live my life without you. Without you. Without you. Still a whisper on my lips, feeling at my face. here when I'm at my worst, feeling as if I've been cursed, really cold within. Days go by and still I think of you. Days when I couldn't live my life without you. Without you. Without you. Still I think of you. Days when I couldn't live my life without you. Days go by and still I think of you. Days when I couldn't live my life without you. Without you. Without you. Without you. Without you. Days go by, days go by, days go by. Days go by, days go by, days go by.
Bill's Days Go By Doogie Doody Vegas on Sheldopedia on Arrow FM. I'm gonna tell you daily update of COVID-19 pandemic by country and territory. The United States just visited past 10 million cases. Italy just reached 1 million cases and 40,589 deaths and 38,038 have recovered. Colombia's M9 with also reaching a million with 1 million 126 new cases of 3,512 deaths and 1,070,043 have recovered. Number 8, Argentina with 1,023,043 cases and 4,031 deaths and 1,884 have recovered. Number 7, the United Kingdom with 1,208,195 new cases and 50,128 deaths. Number 6, Spain with 1,420 cases and 4,461 deaths. Month of Russia with 1,858,568 cases with 50,052 deaths and 1,868 have recovered. Month for France with 1,817 new cases and 42,960 deaths and 154,954 have recovered. Month for Brazil with 5,747,007 cases or 160,406 deaths and 5,060,044 have recovered. Number 2, India with 8,611 cases with 160,461 deaths and 8,053 have recovered. And finally, good old USA has 10,460,502 cases and 244,421 deaths and 5,083,401 have recovered. Next up is Data Creature by Splitins on Sheldopedia on Arrow FM.
Dirty creatures got me
They was studio created by splitting on Sheldopedia on Error FM. Humans have been hunter-gatherers for over 99% of their history. The final song of the day it is. It is John by tonight's featuring Schoolboy Q.
What's that on that beat? Go.
Give me all that you got now. Make you want me cause I'm hot now. I'm gone, so faded, I'm on one. Bang, bang, pop off like a long gun. If you a lame nigga, you ain't making no noise. Get faded, turn up with the big boys. Live fast, die young, that's my choice. Get money like an invoice. In the whip, make the money, make the grip. I'll be stunning with my click. Get it faded till we trip. Man, I love to get on. I love to get to one. When the drink be too strong, when the tree be way too strong. Get faded, turn up, bro, pull it on up till I can't even think no more. Get right to go dumb, then go more dumb, then we can keep it lit, let's roll. Let's roll. I love to get to one. I love to let's roll. I love to get to one. Let's roll. I love to get to one. I love to let's roll. Yeah, we can get active, and all my bitches attractive. We go, you know who we are now. Get high, hot box in the car now. If you a lame nigga, you ain't making no noise. Get faded, turn up with the big boys. Live fast, die young, that's my choice. Get money like an invoice. In the whip, make the money, make the grip. I'll be stunning with my click. Get it faded till we trip. Man, I love to get on. I love to get to one. Drink be too strong, the tree be way too strong. Get faded, turn up, bro, pull it on up till I can't even think no more. Get right to go dumb, then go more dumb, then we can keep it lit, let's roll. I love to get to I love it, let's roll. I love to get to I love it, let's roll.
Pull your panties down from under you. Beat that pussy up, make you wanna holla Q. Drunk in a bitch, high on that Mary Jane. Pussy in my mouth, pussy on my pinky ring. Nasty, maybe do it in the back. Swear this marijuana, keep it cracked. Lights, camera, action. I ain't doing nothing to the cash. Money, we fashion. Draped up and dripped out, keep the trees passing. Girl, toot that thing up, fuck me, fuck rap. Days of a lie, so clap the cake. Spreading your thighs, I pump your brakes. Hey,
just give me the trees and we can smoke it, yeah. Just give me the drink and we can pour it, yeah. And my enemies, they see me living now. And if you roll with me, then you'll be winning now. Oh. I love to get on. I love to get to one. When the drink be too strong, when the tree be way too strong. Get faded, turn up, bro, pull it on up till I can't even think no more. Get right to go dumb, then go more dumb, then we can keep it lit, let's roll. I love to get to I love it. Let's roll. I love to get to I love it. I love it. Let's roll.
First to Vision International Schoolboy Q on Sheldopedia on Error FM. That's it for Sheldopedia. I'll see you next time. Bye.